Hey, pilot. Welcome to launching. I'm a little tired from a meeting I had that ended at about 2 o'clock this morning with Jin and XC Mag and talking about the Boomerang 12. Say hi to Rugby. And all of its design aspects for an article I'm going to write for the magazine. So I'm pretty excited. Here's a slightly truncated edit. For those of you wishing to deep dive like we did into the details, I thought it was fascinating and really fun. Anyway, without further ado, let's get to it.
So, first of all, my idea was to create something different, and also we were in the situation where you really hardly developed more performance or something else. So then I get this idea, and I contact this university professor. So they proposed me about to study about this. So we've done, and the result is exactly what I was expecting. So it works in the way I was expecting. So yeah, actually, it's not only performance. This concept, it's really helping a lot for the safety, stability. Yeah. This is very interesting. I mean, we discovered this during or after, we get the prototypes and we start to realize that the wing is very, very easy. Not only performance. So this is quite interesting point.
Yeah, definitely, and that's something we're really interested in as well. Is how the technology, because I know it affects. It affects the airflow at all speeds, so it improves behaviour at all speeds. So that's a really interesting point, and it's not just about high level competition sort of performance. So, but Jack, do you want to fire off with a few of the questions? Would that be okay?
Fine for me. I have a lot of questions.
Do you guys know? Do you guys know each other? Do you want to do introductions at all?
I don't know anyone.
Well,
okay, all right. So well, I'm Hugh, and I work at Cross Country Magazine, as you know. Jack. Do you want to introduce yourself? You'll do a better job than me.
Hi, I'm Jack. I'm a mechanical engineer who's quitting engineering and getting into helicopters. I've been paragliding for a little over 4 years now. It's so addicting, but yeah, I when I was able to combine my curiosity and engineering in this sport, I got really engaged, and that's kind of why we're here, is because I got curious, and then I read a bunch of stuff, and then I started emailing XC Mag, and they said, let's have a chat, and I said, okay. Quick pause. This is Jin of Jin Gliders. He founded the company, runs it, all that jazz. Jin has been flying for probably longer than I've been alive. He's a legend in the sport. And this is Yeray González. He's in charge of their marketing, and he comes from an industrial design background, though he's worked in a bunch of other things and has also competed in the Acro World Tour for, I think, 8 years. Further, we're talking about Jin's Boomerang 12 throughout this entire discussion, and their wavy leading edge, as you'll learn. The Boomerang 12 is a CCC glider, a civil competition class, so it's pretty much exclusively used for competition, though there's a few images floating around of it being used with a paramotor.
So great. So Jack, yeah, you've looked into the patent, and you've looked into this sort of area of development, and that's sort of we're really interested in the magazine at focusing in on specifics of what's evolving with the technology.
Sure.
So yeah, Jack, do you want to fire away, and I'll chip in with some questions as well, if that's okay?
Yeah,
absolutely.
Great.
Well, I want to know, whose idea was it?
Well, this is the idea from the professor, and then also I got this idea from the old friends who is also an engineer, and we thought without some big change, it is almost impossible to make more performance than current in the market. So I was looking for something very, new, and finally we found this idea.
So I'm hearing paragliding performance was starting to like taper off and not really improve, and so to get the next improvement, you had to completely rethink.
Yeah, that's the ideas.
So on that, when I look at the patent, I'm going to share a screen with you for a second. When I look at the patent, I saw that there are it shows the typical wing. There are separation bubbles. I don't know why that's backward. Interesting. It's not backward on my screen. And then, so every single place, every single cell, there is separation. But on yours, it looks like there's flow coming in to the two sides, and then so there are fewer separation bubbles. Is that what allows the airflow to stay attached? Is that it gets pushed in and off the sides?
That's exactly the theory behind.
That's nifty.
Because with that, all the separation is really going more back. So this is why the wings are very, very stable in pitch. Actually, we discovered during the maneuver test, we were on the lake. Forced collapse was like, any test pilot normally gets ready to do something when you make a huge collapse. But we were really amazed about, forced collapse. Big one, glider was never really shooting. The two rider has a typical behavior after the big collapse. It just pulls and then shoots. But this one, after the collapse, just little dive and continue to open. So we were. Then my test pilot Hachi was really shouting in the air and saying, "Hey, let's go full speed." And full speed was even easier because trim speed is hard to make collapse. But full speed is less power you need to pull.
Right, it's more precarious.
This is we discovered during the test. Actually, we didn't know about this behavior. Then we had a long discussion with the professor why these things happening like that way. Then he described all the theories and separations and everything. So yeah, we are quite satisfied with the result.
Well, the faster you go, the more back the separation point goes to.
Yeah, so it seems like it'd be very stable, especially at full speed.
Very stable, yeah.
So can I ask you like a fluids question? So you have the wing shape, and here, this is easier. You have the wing shape, and as the air comes over, usually there's the separation point somewhere.
Yeah.
Starts there. You now have fewer separation points. Are they bigger separation points, or are they higher Reynolds number, or are they kind of about the same but just a smaller number of total points?
The separation appears more further back.
Okay.
And that's a combined result of the differential flow of the air at different points. It has the result of moving the average back along the chords.
Yes.
I'm asking that just to make sense of it myself, but yeah.
Yeah, I saw the material that was saying the separation occurs more at 60% of the wing rather than about 30.
Yes.
Got it.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's a lot further back.
It's a lot further back.
Yeah. Yeah.
Did you-
Okay. Oh, interesting.
So like how many computer iterations, how many models, and then before you decided to build a real wing?
Actually, we made, what's important. We didn't know how high the tubercle height will be, and also the width in between the tubercles.
Yeah,
And
I
this
saw that
is
in the patent.
yeah, this is quite interesting that. So actually, after the loss of models, we did a lots of different 3D shapes I draw, and then we make a 3D printing and put it in the wind tunnels, and to find out what's the best, and also to calculate formula in the end.
Sure.
So then after 90 different shapes, it's a lot of money, because 3D printing. So after 90 models, then we got the result. So the team complete, there's 8 students was working with the professor, and then they bring us about the formulas. So then in the meantime, I start to make a prototype to see if it's really working. Then we make A models with the normal leading edge, same aspect ratio, same cell number, and then different tubercles shapes. So we made a lot of stupid mistake as well. I mean, in the beginning, it was totally, some wings was like tip is really spinning, stalls, and then the professor didn't know about paraglider actually a lot. So paraglider, he calculate everything like wings.
Yeah, with no curve.
Yeah, no curve. But in the end, we discover that this curvature makes total different airflow.
Yeah.
So he found out during the wind tunnel test. So we removed the tubercles like 40% of the wingspan, and we have only tubercle at 60%. The rest on the wingtip is normal leading edge. So then the wings start to be more stable, and it's quite difficult to make stall actually now.
So that was one other question I had, is because if you have one flow separation bubble here, the next cell over, and the next cell over, they separate at different points. Like one is going to separate far back and one is going to separate closer to the leading edge. And so my thinking tells me that like this will stall some and this will stall more, sorry, and then this will stall more and more. So it's not all stalling at once, it's stalling these and then those. Is that correct?
Yes, exactly. So that's why when you make a full stall, it's very easy. You can make very beautiful shapes of the stall shapes, and then you don't. It's normally the two riser, it's quite mess when you make full stall. But this wing is very easy to make full stall.
Okay, I've got another one for you. When I look at the plan of the Boom 12 versus this is the humpback whale fin.
Yeah.
The tubercles on your wing are very subtle compared to the whale. These are huge. Is that a function of the fluid because the whale is moving in water, or is that why are they different on the whale versus your wing?
Yeah, if you ask me why, that is difficult to answer. But the result we have got all the wind tunnel test. The point was how big, how high the tubercle is, and also how far in between. And this formula was is quite interesting. So finally, we discovered the best shape of tubercles out of this wind tunnel test. So, you know, some are, we make some very narrow, or some are big, or big tubercles,
Right,
and whatever. So lots of tests, and then we found out that this shape was the best for this aspect ratio.
got it.
So
That's
actually, in the beginning, I I make a quite radical, you know, very similar to whales, but doesn't work. Didn't work.
so I noticed also that the Boomerang 12 has fewer cells than the 11, but the span is also shorter. So the cell
Exactly.
width is almost the same.
Yeah.
And I'm curious. It's like 2 millimeters difference, and I wonder what effect this leading edge has on like inflation characteristics. Like, could you make the cell openings like the same width but slightly narrower, or what, could you make those kind of modifications? Or
No, we used the exactly same. Well, there's a little different airfoils, because we also this time we redesigned, generate new airfoils for the Boom 12. So this was also the same project with, one professor was working for to generate new airfoils,
yeah,
and one team is to make this platform. So then the new airfoil for sure has a different air inlet, and then also the inlet position we calculate a different way in a different team. So to have a more pressure in high speed.
I
There's
see.
slightly different position than the Boom 11, and also
So-
airfoil itself is a little different.
So you moved the I don't know how to make a wing with my hand.
Yeah.
You moved this inlet further back so you could get better characteristics at high speed.
No, actually not so far back, just a little, different shapes, I would say. The position is nearly
Interesting.
same, but the Boomerang 11 has more radically rolled seam, and the new Boom 12 is more flat.
Got it. Small question. Are you using like plastic rods or nitinol or both?
No, we use only plastic.
Really?
Yeah.
Interesting. That's a different discussion. I'm curious, but that's a different. All right, I'm going to step off of the technical questions for just a little bit. So paragliding is a unique blend of science and art. Like, the science is, we understand how a thermal works. We understand that when it hits orographic lift, how it behaves. But finding a thermal and coring a thermal, that's an art. And I'm curious how, for you and your company, how has it been the mixture of designing versus engineering, the art versus the science, and then how has that changed with this iteration and moving forward in the future?
Yeray, how you can answer for that?
I mean, I don't understand really well the question. You are asking what's part of science, like calculations and everything, and which is the touch we have.
Right. And then there's experience and intuition on the other side.
That's the thing.
So how do you mix that, and then how has that changed with this iteration?
Yeah, I have to say, well, one thing, it's Wave Leading Edge project itself. that we are working with the Ulsan University and professors and teams and with the wind tunnel. And this is what Jing explained about the calculations we got from the the leading edge, wave leading edge. But beside of that, you don't have to. You have to remember Jing Gliders was born, or correct me if I'm wrong, Jing, in 1999. But Jing is designing wings since the last 20 or 30 years.
Right.
It's okay. Wave leading edge is a project we are coming back now to the market where we have this, let's say, deep development and research and wind tunnel test and everything. But beside of that, the experience we have, it's not only coming from these calculations or everything. I think the way then let's say the background we are coming with, or Jing is coming with in terms of design, this is really important because there are so many details on the wing, like line layout, angle of attack. So those things are coming from the knowledge of the company. But even though beside of that, we know it's also, I will say what I see from my point of view, you can have the best designer in the world, but it's really important the way you finish the wings as well. You can have the best platform, the perfect arc of the wing and whatever, but if the pilot which is really testing the wing, and normally in Jing Gliders, one of the biggest advantage we have is that we have our own designer testing the wings itself. So
old man.
But this is incredible because it really opens another dimension. Imagine, I don't know, any other manufacturer, if the designer is in the office designing wings, then send the prototype to a pilot. Let's say 60 or 70% of the know-how, how the wing was designed, and all the decisions you take through the design part are just missing. Because then the pilot will trim the wing depending on the feelings he have, and depends on some facts you can get from the wing. But if a test pilot considers that the wing is not banking enough, then he says, I will increase the arc of the wing. But if it's the designer, the one which choose this arc, there is a reason behind.
Right, so then there's a loss of knowledge.
There is a lot of knowledge.
Yeah. Actually, after all the data is coming out from the wind tunnel test, then I have to design this one into the paragliding. So it was not easy to actually apply all the technology into the wings, because if you just draw on the paper, it works, but in the reality it's a little different. So that's why I make quite a lot of prototype to prove that theory is working. So this is different part. So there I put all my experience, to bring out the result. So in the beginning, the professor was not expecting that Gene is going to finish the wing as what they have done on the wind tunnel test. But
they expect that to be kind of a first step.
I mean, it's me. My style is I never really sitting and talk. I just design, fly.
Repeat.
If it's not working, change.
Got it.
So this way, I made 15 different prototypes, and actually I made 19 prototype, but the number 15 was the best. So
interesting.
We finalized with the number 15.
So I noticed on the patent that you guys list the different performance characteristics based on the width and the depth of the tubercles, and then relative to the chord length, and that you found in the corner of the graph it says plus 7.9 something percent, but there's nothing beyond that. Is that because beyond that it started to decrease performance? Like 7 was the or 7.9 was the best, and then the chart ends right there. So I didn't know if that was this is all we've done, or we did more and we came back, and it sounds like, you know, we did number 14, number 15, 16, 17, 18, 19. 15 was my favorite.
Yeah, we went further.
Interesting.
Then it getting worse. So we stopped at the 15.
Too much tubercle.
Well, finally, a wing is not only a matter of performance. You know, you need to have it's finally a good wing. It's a balance of everything. So it's not all about if the wing is able to be stable at bar. It's about the handling. It's about how it climbs. It's about the feedback you get.
It really is a very subjective thing in the end, because you know, it might go faster, but if it's too unstable, nobody wants to fly it. And if it's too stable, then it doesn't go fast and it's not exciting to fly. So you have to, I understand. There's a lot of balance you have to strike.
Yes, that's the right word, to make it balanced.
Yes.
Balance for that specific pilot type, which is...
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
That's exactly you need to test the wings, and then also, you know, I myself want to finish this way.
Yeah.
I'm an old man, and when I'm flying in such a turbulence conditions, if I'm able to handle, then maybe Yeray or Hugh Miller will be very easy.
I'm an old man too now.
So oh, there you are.
I'm out the picture. I'm very sorry. We've been driving, but Jin, I think, you know, one of the qualities that you have to have as a good designer is a bit like a long cross country flight. You have to be persistent and a bit stubborn, really, because I can imagine there've been a lot of times when this must have been a very frustrating process, because it's so different, and you're dealing with a three-dimensional fabric that moves. It's not even a flat wing, it's curved, you know, this. Yeah. So what not really a design question, this, but how do you manage that and keeps how do you sort of, what kept you going with it? Because you must have seen there's some promise in it that gave you the motivation.
Well, the data say how many % you can improve. So that was my goal, to match the numbers we got. So we make normal wings, and then every time make a new prototypes to compare actually.
Right.
And then we bought lots of devices, put it GPS onto the wings and also on the harness, and then also having the load cells on the risers. So we measure everything to calculate the angle of attack and the glide ratios, and also tip to tip, we compare in the calm air or in the moving air. So actually, this time, the test process is totally different than ever. Because normally we design and fly, and then feelings and trimmings, and, you know, change the prototypes or improve the different way. Yeah. But this time we were more using all the technology we could use the instrument.
That sounds much more technical.
Yeah.
And sorry, just one other non-scientific question. I flew the Boomerang 1 in Saint-Hilaire in '99, and it was a very exciting kind of experience, because the performance was another level from the Nova Expert and the other wings that were around at that time. And it was your first wing with Jin. How does this wing, the 12, compare, do you think, for the pilot's experience of coming onto the wing, compared with, say, you know, a classic like the Boomerang 1 or other sort of classic wings that you've made?
Actually, I'm from hang gliding.
Yeah.
And a few years ago, I flew hang glider. I mean, I stopped nearly 10 years, and then, but just I took one of my friend's wings and just go. I was amazed how easy compared to 20 years ago. hang glider, and then performance-wise, handling-wise, and then also, I mean, all round was an amazing improvement. So that's why my direction was clear, that which direction the wing should go.
Yeah, yeah.
So that's why I was thinking about how we can improve, performance with the safety or stability, and also easiness and whatever. So this was the goal. So actually, if you look at the hang gliding pilot, they are learning with the beginner wings.
Yeah.
And then 1 year after, they just buy the competition wings. It's that much easier, I would say, or in other words, maybe the wing more forgiving the pilot mistake. So this is my idea for the Boom 12, or the next model of all class from A to CCC classes. So actually the Boomerang 12, I give it to the girls who is flying D class. And the first flight she made, and after landing, she said, Jin, this is easier than my D class wings.
Wow.
So, what was the name of the pilot that flew it, the D class pilot, just so we can write it down?
Park Jong-hoon, she's a World Cup pilot.
Okay.
She was so happy that she can manage, and she missed the landing because approach the glide
was too long.
The wing was fly more,
Wow.
so she missed. He passed the landing area. That's the only mistake she made. But in the air, she said it's much easier. Well, that's what you said. So I mean, that's the general idea about my concept. Actually, Yeray and marketing team was against to having this wing as D class. But actually, we have tested the S size.
I saw.
Yeah, the Harry Boons test, and then we got the D class. But Yeray and the marketing team was against these ideas.
So if you can make the wing more stable with this, does that mean that you will end up like decreasing your aspect ratio for wings with this design, or will you try to have the same aspect ratio and that much more performance?
I wanted to reduce the aspect ratio, and because higher and higher, then we went up to more than 8 or something, and you lose stability, you lose the handling, everything. So, but with the smaller aspect ratio, gives you more, easier handlings and more comfortable to fly and easier everything. So then have more performance. So that's exactly what I was dreaming for, like a hang gliding direction.
More performance and easier to handle.
Yes, that's the goal.
So when you started this project and you realized that this is going to make a cool wing, we're going to love this, did you take that knowledge and then look at your other wings in development and go, hang on, maybe we need to do this to everything, or do you continue with basically I want to know, do I get a Bonanza 3 with a wavy leading edge? Because I fly a Bonanza 2 now, and it's a really fun wing. But if I can get like a Bonanza 3 that's a 6.2 instead of 6.45, and it can go faster, I'd be excited.
That's exactly what I'm working for. Even this is a 2-riser.
Yeah, I saw that on Instagram the other day. I asked someone I asked Jen if they were going to make a Bonanza 3, and they said, yes, we're working on a 2-liner.
Yeah, two-liner with the tubercles.
All right, then I will sell my wing tomorrow.
I mean, we compare the performance,
Yeah.
and it's one class different. You know, so I mean, I'm going to work more precise for this class because C class is a much bigger market,
Yeah.
and a lot of people could, you know, enjoy the cross country. So
Sure.
I'm quite curious to finish this wing, you know, really good in a way.
Yeah, I bet. Especially because like a lot of the C-class wings are lower aspect ratio than the Bonanza. I kind of feel like there's a lot of D wings that are lower performing than the Bonanza,
Yes.
but I'm partial. I'm curious about the minimum sink speed for the Boomerang. I wonder if the minimum sink is lower or higher. I imagine it's probably lower.
Yes, it's low.
So you can slow down more in those smaller lift, and because the smaller aspect ratio, you can turn tighter.
Yes, actually, this because of tubercles, all the lift coefficients in the middle part of the wings is really working. So actually, it has also a very high curvature, and then small aspect ratio, and then it has a high lift.
Yeah.
Yeah. You can see normally what we are always missing is end of the thermals. You know, when Hugh, you must know that when we are waiting in the thermals for the competition, then in the last thermals, you know, some wings are go higher and someone's not possible to go higher because end of the thermals, and the Boomerang is always go through the is top of the thermals because it has a really good lift. So you can turns in the not only the handling but also wing itself is has a high lift. So Boomerang is always stay high in the thermals.
That's interesting because when I compare wings from other manufacturers in a class, I see that a lot of other wings have more curvature, and Gen wings tend to be a little bit more flat. Like the Explorer is a very flat wing compared to pretty much every other B class wing. So you're saying you added more curvature?
Well, depends also the curvature is not only the performance, also the maneuver test.
Hmm.
So this is totally different story. And for example, for the spirals, you know, when the B class, after the 360 test, you
Yeah.
know, after 2 turns or whatever, you know, the test house, they do the maximum spiral and then release, then you do nothing, and the wing has to comes out in 360. So, you know, if you have a too high curvature, then the stay in the auto rotations. So it's not only the performance.
So again, the answer is balance.
Yes.
Hmm.
Again, good balance.
So you were saying earlier that a lot of paraglider design is kind of reaching a top in performance for design, and I know that from looking at wings over the years, that the 3D shaping of the leading edge has gotten smoother and smoother, and I think that's because of increased span-wise tension. But like, has that also kind of reached its maturity, in your opinion?
I didn't understand the last word.
In your opinion, has design philosophy kind of reached its maximum?
Oh, for sure. As clean as possible, less wrinkles. And that's also another story. In the factory, all the stitching girls, if they make a mistake, then you will have a lot of wrinkles or creases on the leading edge. It's not
So it
only
makes more sense manufacturing.
yeah. Well, mainly design is important to have a clean leading edge.
I think I have 3 or 4 questions, and then I'll leave you alone. I really appreciate your time, by the way.
No problem. Pleasure.
So I'm curious about your vision, your aspiration for this technology. Do you see this obviously on the C class, and then do you see it on the B? Do you see it on the low B? Do you see it on the A? Do you see it where do you see this this technology going?
All models.
All models.
Yes.
A wavy leading edge school wing.
Yes, because we have so much good feedback or positive result from the entire last 2 years project working, and we learn a lot about this. That's why we decided to put the patent on it.
Yeah.
So for sure we will use the D class, C class, and also B, all models.
Is your plan to use so Advance has the little ears on their wings, and that's their visual cue?
Yeah.
Like if you can look at the wing and go, that's an Advance wing.
Yeah.
And you can look at a BGD wing and go, that's a lot of colors.
This tubercle will be our signature for sure.
So it'll be a visual signature of Gen gliders.
Yes.
I mean, the thing is that the profit you get from the wing, from the technology, is not only related with performance. I mean, an A wing not looking really for performance, but the thing is that you get in exchange better stability and, as we mentioned before, gradual stall. So there are points from the technology which are really, I mean,
Safety.
It's incredible. If you can get a wing which is more stable than the others and stalls gradually, I mean, student can be aware of when he's stalling the wing. It's already good point for an A wing. So the thing is that it's not only a gain in performance or stability on the bar, that you gain a lot more than only these 2 points. That's why it's a technology which it fits to every single wing.
I think I have one more question. Hang on. Oh, sorry, 2 more. Sorry, 9 more. No, I'm joking. 2 more. Do you see this? You said every wing, but what about speed wings?
Speed wings.
Yeah, am I going to see a Griffin too with the tubercles?
Griffin will, at the moment, will come out without tubercles because it's too soon. Because we are working with the Griffin 2 with the Bolero 7. Based on the Bolero 7. So Bolero 7 is without tubercles. So
sure.
We go from high models step
down.
Yeah.
And the thing is, we were developing the wave leading edge in the middle of all the development plan. So we had some models that they were coming before the wave leading edge, and they are still running, and they're in, let's say, 60 or 70 or 90% finish.
Right.
We cannot change in that stage.
That's a lot of time you would have to reinvest.
It's like starting again.
Yeah.
So, yes.
Jin, what do you think? Have you talked to other designers about this idea? Have you had any comments or feedback from other designers on what they make of it? Because it's such a new idea.
It's new idea because when Lukamon coming out with the two riser in the beginning.
Yeah.
That was a big step. And I was always thinking about, to create such a steps.
Yeah.
So, I mean, without I call it without physical change, it's difficult to improve. And when this idea coming to us, then I thought that's it. And because of the tubercle theory, you can find out in tons of story or reports in the Googles.
Yeah.
But to design into the paragliding is different. So actually, in the beginning, I designed tubercles without a professor. Then I realized that how stupid I am, and then I contact the professor, and then his answer is always same. He said, "Jin, I need to test in the wind tunnel, then I can give you an answer."
Yeah.
So without wind tunnel test, nobody knows.
Yeah.
That was the answer. So okay, let's do it. And then there's a lot of money behind, but we get also help from government about this project, because without this government money, it's difficult. It was big money, I have to say.
We found out what we call the Gene Lab.
Yeah.
Which is, let's say it's a research line found by gene gliders, but we have some funds from the Korean government. The Wave Leading Edge is the first project coming out from the Gene Lab, but this collaboration in between the professor with the wind tunnel research, it's still going on further than the Wave Leading Edge. So we are still now, nowadays, we are still going to the wind tunnel research. It will be more projects to come out under the Gene Lab. That's why we promote also this Gene Lab, not only the Wave Leading Edge.
Got it.
One secret for you, we also do the test now with a harness.
So there's more in the patent, because I read, at first I only found the patent in Korean, and I don't speak Korean. So I was really happy when I found it in English. But there's also claims about like having an inflated section that runs along the cord.
The ridge.
The ridge, you sent me the article about the turtles, and that was cool, and I think that's the same idea. And then also there's talk about on the wingtips having some sort of winglet design or kind of feather design. This is all in the same patent, and I wonder, is that still being pursued, or is that a secret, or?
No, the ridge project is still going on, because the ridge theory is exactly the same as tubercles. So that's different. So normally the ridge could use for the lower number of cells, like A class. And we made one Bolero with the ridge, and we compare with the current model and ridge, and it's obviously better. But at the moment, we don't find a way to make it more simple, the manufacturing, to make these rich shapes. So it's a good point you ask me, because you read all our the patent, so you understand this. But we consider at the moment more tubercles, but we in the same time we will continue to work with the ridge for lower class.
Yeah, I read your patent, and I read the other patents that are in your name, and then I read research from MIT, and then earlier in '95, and then textbooks from the 1960s, and I spent a lot of hours that I should have been doing other things.
No, I think I'm happy that someone's interesting about our project.
Yeah, it's fascinating stuff. Did you run into a lot of manufacturing difficulties? Because, normally leading edge is this nice curve, but now you have some cells here, some here, some here. Like, how much more difficult is that?
Actually, in the beginning, because of the span-wise pressure, it's totally different tension as a normal leading edge. So
Yeah.
the band, we call it the H straps, and the band on the wings, and also the diagonal shapes, and everything was quite different.
Different.
Yeah. So to match, all these, I need to make a lot of errors actually.
Yeah.
So I try, and then it doesn't work. So I make different tensions, and so it's the same process as usual. I mean, when you make a totally new, then you need to try.
You need to learn again.
Yes, exactly. Yeah.
The real value of this is the technical insight and the conversation that Jack, you and Jin, you've generously shared with your information. That gives us some really nice insight to explain, the science behind it. So I think the real value is really in the writing, and maybe we could put a bit of this audio together as well, to put on the website, perhaps if the quality's okay. But no, it's been really, really interesting. I think we should do more of these.
Yeah, me too.
And Jack, you're going to do me out of a job.
What? No,
You're
man.
you are. You're very, very good at this.
I told you I'm becoming a helicopter pilot.
Oh, okay, good. Well, you'll learn far more doing that than you will writing about paragliding. So I think I'm safe.
I would love to work in the paragliding world. It's honestly, I fly helicopters and I fly paragliders, but anyone who talks to me knows that I would rather be paragliding than flying helicopters. There's no comparison.
Yeah.
Like helicopters are more fun than working at like a boatyard and trying to reduce the number of man-hour requirements for a tugboat. That's not very fun because I don't like boats. Yeah. But helicopters, okay, I can do that.
Well, Jack, thank you very much. Thank you very much for being involved, and you better go. I hadn't realised it's 2 a.m, so sleep well.
Yeah, it's 2 a.m. I forgot.
And have a nice. What time is it in Korea, Jin?
6
in the evening. Have a nice evening.
Yeah.
Lovely.
Okay.
Yep.
Perfect.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Thanks for all the conversation, and I hope Hugh, you like the wings. I hope.
I'm sure I will. I'm sure. I mean, we're not going to be doing that. This is more of a sort of insight technology piece that we're trying to do, which so I think flying the wing will help a bit, but it's more about the technology development. So yeah, that's why this conversation's been so helpful.
Yeah. Okay.
All right. Thank you, gentlemen. Have a great
Lovely to chat to you. Take care.
Okay, Jack. Was nice to talk to you.
Same here.
Thank you.
Bye.
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 Wow, you are still here. I am impressed. Thanks for watching all of it. I've got some more content coming up soon. Like, subscribe, all that jazz. Let me know if you have any questions, if I can clarify anything, or speak more clearly at the end of my videos. Have fun, be safe, and I'll see you in the sky.